Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Cardsphere.com as well as Moxfield.com, and we'll take a look at them later on in this video. So today's donation comes to us from Evan S., who sent me a mono white Stax deck list that needed a little bit of love. And as luck would have it, Miyabi01 5-0'd with a mono white Stax list that is very much in the same spirit of what my donor wanted to see. So we're going to go ahead and take that for a spin, and let me awkwardly get all this stuff on screen here for you. Okay, so the kind of biggest critique I had of the first build was that there was just so much going on at CMC4. And I felt like the deck was a little bit clunky, and I like that this one is attempting some lower CMC cards. And this is a newer one, Anointed Peacekeeper, which is a 3/3 vigilant creature. As it enters the battlefield, look at an opponent's hand and choose a card name. Spells your opponent's cast with the chosen name cost 2 more to cast, and activated abilities with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. So let's kind of conceptually break down this card here. Number one, you do not have to choose a card that is in your opponent's hand, okay? So you can choose a Planeswalker that's in play, you can choose a fetch land that's in play. There's a lot of options here. And I think that's a big one. So this is something that could come down on turn one and impact an opposing fetch land, which is super cute. Number two, this is just a creature in a deck that historically has been pretty creature light. Sometimes these decks try to play like Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, or maybe Spirit of the Labyrinth, maybe Thalia, Heretic Cathar, maybe Thought-Knot Seer, and everything kind of feels medium. A 3/3 threat can block some smaller creatures on the ground, like maybe some of the things you'll see out of Death and Taxes or Elves, while also being a respectable clock. As a vigilance creature, it's going to line up against a lot of things other than like a flashed in endurance or maybe an Ice Fang Coatl. Kind of the core of the deck list are these various taxation effects, ranging from Smokestacks to Archon of Emeria to a whole bunch of Wastelands, which are chilling just off screen here. As usual, in kind of critiquing the mana base here, there's not that much white mana in the deck list. So we're not going to count Expedition Map here, because we really don't want an Expedition Map for a white source. But there's 11 white sources in the deck, which is fine if, we're only going to have a handful of white cards. But it's better to treat this deck as a colorless deck that is splashing white than as a mono white deck. And I really want you to keep that in mind throughout the league, because a lot of the things that we're hoping to do, Trinispheres, Ancient Tombs, Karns, activating Urza Saga, all this stuff can happen off of colorless mana. It's possible a couple of these blast zones should be plains as well, though. The deck list got a 5/0. I'm going to try it out as is. I'm a little skeptical about the mana base, though. I think it's a touch greedy. That said, since we can operate on colorless mana, and because we have a whopping 29 mana sources, I'm gonna assume that it kind of works out okay, especially since we can just rebuy some things with Crucible of Worlds later on. A note here. This is a small Karn the Great Creator package. This is essentially like the tightest 4 cards that you could probably play here. So this is not a 10 card Karn sideboard like you sometimes see. As far as the sideboard goes, I'm going to highlight a couple of cards here. They're the sorts of things that aren't normally played in Legacy, at least not anymore. We've got Aven Mind Sensor. We've got Hushwing Griff. Creatures entering the battlefield doesn't cause abilities to trigger. And that one might look weird, but that's an overlap card or something like Death and Taxes, while also hitting Thassa's Oracle out of Doomsday. And then we've got a killer Haymaker in the form of Moat here. I think that's enough. Let's go ahead and hop into the leagues and see how it feels. Generally speaking, with these sorts of deck lists, it's been my sort of feeling that like Smokestacks isn't super playable anymore. It's just so incredibly slow. we'll see how the other lock pieces perform. If you're new here and you like what you see today, please consider subscribing, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. That's one of the easiest ways to support my content for free. Let's battle. Alright, I've kept my opening hand for round 1. We are playing against a Yorion deck of some kind, and we'll probably find out on turn 1 which of those Yorion decks it is. So I have a pretty potent play on turn 2 of just using an Oblivion Ring on Aether Vial, which sounds pretty good to me. Oh! Oh! Don't keep hands like this, by the way. It's such... Oh gosh, they didn't even have a mom. It's such a hard ask to keep a 1-land Aether Vial hand in, like, the Prismatic Ending world. I'm thinking about whether or not I want to Trinisphere or just play Archon of Emeria this turn. It's really awkward to play Trinisphere if I get Wastelanded afterwards. I think I'm just going to get my threat into play right now, and then play the Trinisphere next turn. There's a small amount of risk here that this creature eats a Source of Plowshares or whatever. I don't think I really care. Yeah, that's fine. I think the upside of making a Wasteland come into play tapped if my opponent doesn't have anything is just so high that I just go ahead and take that. I don't think I make a land drop here. Makes me worse against Wasteland. Alright, we're chilling. Well, I'm going to play that. Still kind of rough versus Wasteland, but it is what it is. So I'll lose my city. And now it's time to play the How Do I Cast Chalice of the Void game. Oh, they made this easier, I think. I think I used to have to click more for that. Oh, we're done. We're done. Okay. Yeah, I just think with my opponent missing that... Oh shit, it's not Death and Taxes. I 100% would have conceded the game right there, rather than show me that card. I think that is a huge misplay. Because you're probably just eating it to this Urza Saga anyway. Yeah, that's fine. Skyclave is fine. Sure. I am good with this. This is a 3/3 that is very shortly about to be much bigger than just that. Also, this is just fucking rude. Aether Vial? Okay. Go to combat. Crash in for 5. Puts opponent to 15. I will play Wasteland. I will Wasteland Caracas, and opponent is once again presumably on no playable cards. Okay, they drew a Field of Ruin, so they can cast a card. I can Wasteland that Field of Ruin and continue to deploy things that make my Construct tokens larger. Fruiter's fine. Solitude's not particularly good right now. A Flicker Wisp. Sure, absolutely. Hit in for 10 this turn, or I can hit in for 12 this turn. Of a marginal difference, so I probably play Archon of Emeria off City of Traders. Let's crash in for 10 here. That's fine. City. 3 mana Archon. Wasteland Field of Ruin. Opponent has to top deck yet another land in order to be able to play that Flicker Wisp. Yeah, that wasn't a basic plains. If you wonder why I always talk about basic plains being good, it is situations like this. There is the concession. So my opponent's got, like, Field of Ruins. They presumably have, like, Wastelands as well. What do I have here? Moat's kind of cool versus True Name Nemesis. Hushwing Griff's probably fine. Aven Mind Sensor is maybe okay. I might bring in these 6 cards. I don't know whether or not my opponent has cantrips. I didn't see any this game, and it looks like their mana base is too white to want those. So kind of my question here is, how much do I want to hedge versus Swords to Plowshares effects? Like, do I actually want to keep Chalice? I know my opponent has Swords, and there's presumably like some other runes and things of that nature in there. I don't think I want Smokestack. I think Smokestack gets replaced by Moat. And then from there, it gets a little bit harder. I don't really think Chalice and Trinisphere are particularly good. I might keep Chalice as an early play and something to help protect these hate bears that I'm going to bring in. Because, like, this sucks. This really sucks for my opponent. And if I have Hushwing Griff and Moat in play, it's probably a real pain for my opponent to do anything meaningful. That gets me most of this stuff. Do I trim a Chalice? I don't want to trim a land in this matchup. Yeah, I could see trimming a Chalice. The Chalice becomes more attractive when I'm on the play. This hand's probably a keep. I wish it had a little bit more mana, because I'm like a little bit afraid of a Wasteland effect, but it's got Chalice into Oblivion Ring, which is... Ooh, that's kind of like more mana, which is okay by me. Kind of the issue with the Crucible of Worlds right now, though, is... Okay, that just resolved. Is that I don't have like a fetch land or anything to just kind of immediately rebuy my stuff. Okay, sure. This is looking like a very different mana base from last game. Okay, it is apparently Esper Vial. It was Esper Vial and my opponent kept basic planes Aether Vial? Wild. Okay. I don't think I'm super interested in Oblivion Ring on Baleful Strix. I just want to jam Karn immediately. With the, like, smaller board that I have here, a little less appealing to just go for Karn immediately. But, like, Liquid Metal Coating, destroy my opponent's lands forever is, like, very much a thing. I guess let's just go for it. Minus the Karn. Yes. And I think I have too many cards in hand to just, like, consider going for Ensnaring Bridge or something. Although I could grab a Chalice and just cast Chalice on X's 2 next turn. That's not bad. I think I'm just gonna go after the lands, especially since I just have a backup Karn. And if my opponent plays something more threatening, I can Oblivion Ring at the cost of my City of Traders, which isn't really the end of the world. Is a true name Nemesis. Moat answers that. Not immediately, but Moat answers that. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. I just have so many cards in hand that, like, grabbing a Snaring Bridge isn't really great right now. I think I need to go ahead and set up for the future this turn. I'm going to take out my opponent's white mana. Target Tundra there. Plus blow up Tundra. Play Karakas, which makes me lose City. I'll go ahead and play Crucible of Worlds. At some point, I will need to get rid of this Baleful Strix because, like, it can attack through Moat. But I'm not taking too much damage right now. Alright, sure. Alright. There's more. That is a Yorion to hand, which isn't really a problem. I need to find my other white mana. Let's play this city. I can Karn and blow up another land. I just want to get rid of Baleful Strix, though. I think I'm willing to take 2 to go ahead and do that. Sakashima the Imposter. Sure, Otawara is a little annoying here. I kind of hope my opponent plays that as a land eventually. I'm going to... Well, actually, I guess I can play Otawara, right? Yeah, I guess I can just name Otawara here and just solve that problem. Now let's do that. I'm going to be fully at the whims of the top of my deck to find this second white source. I'm very likely to win the game if I find it, and very likely to lose the game if I do not. This also probably means that I have to hold the next land that I find if it's not white, so that Mox Diamond can actually be a mana source for that card. Oh, yep, there's the Marsh Flats. Yeah, you're going to play Sakashima, which copies True Name, and I'm going to top deck a white source, play a Moat, and give you the double middle fingers. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I can't play Karn and get Ensnaring Bridge in one turn cycle, and I can't have this Ancient Tomb either. I think I fully just have to pass the turn here. So the Yorian's not a problem. I control a Caracas, and I also have an Oblivion Ring. But I'm eating 6 here. That's fine. It's not good. Just fine. Alright, I am dead. Number of games lost to my mana base, 1. Okay, so now I know that my opponent is Esper Vial. These Hushwing Gryphs look even better. The Chalice of the Voids aren't great. The Trinispheres aren't the best either. I kind of like a lot of the stuff that I've put in, but some of this Sorceress Spyglass type stuff is going to be a little bit less good than I thought it was going to be. I think I'm going to bring the Trinispheres back in for the Chalice of the Voids. Like, when I'm on the play, like, these things are, like, Chalice and Trinisphere often happen on the same turn. I think I'm just going to kind of call that good. I don't think I'm that bad off here. This is going to be a keep. I'm pretty vulnerable to an opposing Wasteland, and my turn 1 is incredibly difficult to play. Like, incredibly, incredibly difficult. It's always Mox Diamond discarding Wasteland. It's always City of Traders, and then all 3 of these have different reasons why they're good. I am going to go ahead and lead on Trinisphere. It has been forced. So one of the reasons not to lead on Trinisphere is because it's vulnerable to Force of Negation in a way that a lot of these other cards just aren't. Alright, my opponent has just passed the turn. I won't be playing this Urza Saga. I need the City of Traders. Trinisphere is currently weak to a Spell Pierce type card, which is unlikely but possible. But these 2 cards are better the earlier they come into play. I think I'm just going to play Archon of Emeria. Again, leading in this way, though, bad against Swords to Plowshares. Maybe for that reason I play Trinisphere. I don't think there's a, like, right and wrong answer with, like, which one of these things you lead on, since they play against different things differently. I'm gonna hold up Aven Mind Sensor, I think. I don't think my opponent sees that coming. It's awkward if they miss their land drop, but it's really fucking cool when this happens. And I get to try to make their life miserable. Alright, so the other fetch is gonna happen. And this Aven Mind Sensor is effectively uncounterable. Now we just hope the Marsh Flats misses. There's worlds where it hits. Like, my opponent gets to look at 4 cards. This is not one of those worlds, though. Ooh, Anointed Peacekeeper. I think I'm more interested in Archon of Emeria, though. Like, that just put, like, these 2 cards in conjunction really put the hurt on my opponent. Oh, yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. Ooh, yeah. So, this is 4 damage, and then the question is, do I play the Anointed Peacekeeper or the Archon of Emeria? I think it's the Anointed Peacekeeper. It's specifically worse against a True Name Nemesis that's played out. Because this is just 6 damage in the air 2 turns in a row. That's lethal. But this card hits harder and stops whatever my opponent has that I care about the most. Is probably Baleful Strix, since it cantrips. I think this game is over before the rest of the cards matter. The other thing that I can just do here is just name Flooded Strand, and my opponent has to pay 2 mana to crack it. I think that's worse than just making it very hard for my opponent to cast Strix. Okay. We'll see if my opponent is successful. They were successful in finding a basic land in their top 4, which is unfortunate for me. I should pop this out. This is going to be a prismatic ending on something. It is on the Anointed Peacekeeper. That's fine. Oblivion Ring is cool here. I'll play a new Archon of Emeria. Crash in for 4. This is lethal next turn, because my opponent will, like, play Baleful Strix, and then I'll just Oblivion Ring it out of the way. Yep. Alright, so There's the Baleful Strix as expected. And now we just Oblivion Ring, and it's uncounterable because of Trinisphere. Get out of the way. And there is the concession. I think my opponent was very, very, very favored in this matchup, and I think they just kept an incredibly greedy hand that they shouldn't have in round one. Like, I thought it was probably a rough keep when they kept it, and I thought they were Death and Taxes, but once I learned that they were a 3-color deck and they kept, like, the off-color basic and Vile, that's a tough sell. Today's video is sponsored by Cardsphere.com. Cardsphere is a service that allows you to buy, sell, and most importantly, trade your Magic cards with other people and game stores from around the world. As you can see here, they are doing a lot of business. They only take a very small fee, 3%, and if you decide you want cash instead of cards, you can also get paid out via PayPal for a small cut. P.S. They also have articles, so please consider checking them out. Okay, this is round 2. I can just play Urza Saga on turn 1 into, like, City of Traders, activate, search of a map, do it again, sort of thing. I think this hand is awkward enough that I mulligan it, though. And I don't really like using City of Traders to just play Chalice on turn 1 when I don't really have a good follow-up. This is a 1-lander. This does not work out. The 5-card hand? Boy, this hand is bad. Yikes. I cannot tell you what matchup this hand wins on 5 cards. I think it's more likely at this point that I just mulligan to a Chalice and hope it resolves and hope that that beats my opponent, then keep this very mediocre 5. I am willing to risk it for the biscuit. Yeah, this is a turn 1 Chalice. This can go somewhere. Karn always goes back. I think Anointed Peacekeeper always goes back. And then I'll keep Flagstones as my land. I'll discard Wasteland so that I can play Wasteland from Graveyard later. But this is as good, literally as good as I could ask for on 4 cards, I guess. Well, I guess I could have done this with 2 cards, right? This could have been Ancient Tomb, Chalice. Alright, 1-drops are off. What are we playing with? How much does my gamble pay off? Concede, just concede, just concede. Ho 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 ho. Now, it's not like I'm doing anything either. You have to discard this turn. Uh-oh. This is unfair bullshit. We are in, like, Bryant Cook territory right now. That's... Okay, yeah. So you want to put that under here? Alien Spirit Guide. I'm officially weirded out. Because if this is, like, a red prison type deck, you don't keep a hand that can't play something on turn 1. Okay. I mean, I'm still chilling. This is maybe a, like, red storm, like a ruby storm variant. Or, like, bonus round storm. The Epic Gamble have Spirit Guide. Nothing under Chrome Mox. Okay, you've got Metalcraft. This is 2 mana for a Burning Wish. Okay, yeah, so something in the Ruby Storm ballpark is correct. This Archon of Emeria is insane. It just wins the game if I stick it. Shattering Spree, sure. Any land here. Nope. That's super unfortunate. Because with any land in those 2 draws, like Archon of Emeria, I think instantly just wins the game. I think, like, that backed up by Chalice is just way too hard to beat. Alright, so the Shattering Spree targeting Chalice right here is going to be countered by Chalice. So now the Replicate happens, and that one can actually remove the Chalice. Alright, cool stuff. Come on. I have 29 lands, right? It's super disappointing if I lose this one. But generally thinking, I think this matchup's probably pretty good for me. Bergie? Bergie. Okay, yeah, opponent can't go off yet. I'm borderline upset. Like, any one of these individual cards probably beats my opponent. Yeah, defense grid's fine. My opponent, like, should probably be able to go off this turn. Okay. Maybe they're just setting up for the future. Nope. Okay, they're going. My opponent says, oh, lol, played it wrong. I think you'll be okay. Not doing much over here. Until I am doing too much over here. They said they shouldn't have tapped the Mox. They might have something like, say, an Echo of Eons that they needed a different color for. Okay. We're in business. And now I have to figure out, like, which of these various insanely good cards do I actually play. My opponent has available 3, 6, 7 mana. Karn denies 4 of that. My opponent can still storm off with rituals, though. I think it's Archon. Because Archon is probably the best versus an Echo, and I think my opponent has Echo based on what they just told me. The downside of Archon is that it can die to a Shatter Skull Smashing. Like, is something that I very clearly know is in my opponent's deck. Right, I'll eat this damage. That's fine. Okay. Now, the downside of playing Archon is that now I can't play Mox Diamond and Karn in this same turn cycle here. Karn denies just absolutely so much mana here, and also, like, potentially denies a color. So I think I'm super into that. Blow up a Mox Opal. Crash in for a little bit of damage on my opponent here. I don't think I'm interested in playing this Saga and losing City of Traders right now. So Karn is currently staying outside of the range of being... okay, that attacked Karn. My opponent is gambling. They've junked a defense grid, which is probably not what my opponent just tutored for, if I were to guess. I think I play Anointed Peacekeeper this turn. All it's possible is just Trinisphere. I'm gonna make it Anointed Peacekeeper. There's a Burning Wish. I'll name that. So that Burning Wish is now more expensive. I'll swing in with the Archon. Hit my opponent for 2, bringing them to 13. Go ahead and plus. Take out this Chrome Mox. And I think I continue to not play Urza Saga. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to trade Peacekeeper for Burgi. Opponent's down with that trade. I guess that means I probably shouldn't be. At least not this turn. Oh, I don't know that my opponent realized that that Ancient Tomb was about to come into play tapped. Yeah, they did not. Oh, man, that's painful. Opponent says this is OP. Haha, GG. Yeah. Okay. I just won a game on a mold of 4, folks. So, that's a good lesson in a disciplined mulligan, right? I could have kept a bad 5. That bad 5 probably would have lost the game. Instead, I took a chance. I mulliganed very aggressively towards something that I thought might be able to beat a random opponent instead of keeping something with no game plan, and I got super paid off for it. Okay. I don't know that I'm going to sideboard much. Like, I can play Aven Mind Sensor for Gamble. I can play Leyline for niche graveyard interactions, like maybe Echo or Past in Flames sort of situation. But I don't really know that I'm going to have much that I want to take out of the main deck here. Other than maybe Smokestack. Smokestack is just incredibly slow, and my opponent has a bunch of 0-cost artifacts that they can pretty easily get rid of. I think Smokestacks become Aven Mind Sensor. I think everything else is good, including Solitude. Like, Solitude on Burgi is very reasonable. And now that I know what my opponent is playing, Chalice of the Void probably goes on 0 more often than it goes on 1. I think there's a lot of worlds where I lose the game on the draw and win the game where I'm on the play. I don't like the mana of this hand. Yeah, my opponent says, that's a lesson, never give up. I was playing so confident that was GG, ended up missing the combo. Alright, so mulligan this. This is turn 1 Chalice and probably Wasteland, my opponent as well. I think I keep this, and I think the worst card here is probably Aven Mind Sensor. This isn't as fast as I would like a hand to be, but I think this hand is good enough. Because, like, so many of my opponent's lands are just going to be Wastelandable. I think this buys so much time here. Alright. Wasteland. Junk that. I need to play Mox Diamond while I still can. I'm going to get rid of Blast Zone in a play that might look a little weird. And then play Chalice on 0. If my Mox Diamond were to get hit by something like a Shattering Spree, I want to still have white mana afterwards. I think that matters a lot. Ooh. That's a risky land to play out. I will play Urza's Saga next turn. Or hopefully later, if I can. Because, like, I am 100% playing Trinisphere into Karn if I have the possibility of doing that. Oh no. This is another basic lands are good scenario, right? Like, in the hypothetical worlds where that was a basic mountain, my opponent could have had a chance to deploy something like a Burgi, and this could have been a totally different game. But anyway, here's Trinisphere. So now my opponent does not get artifact mana. Whatever they play costs 3. If they play something that costs 3, they lose City of Traders in process unless they have Simian Spirit Guide. And I am about to either have Karn or have giant Urza Saga tokens. Okay, that's another turn for me. Discarding an Echo. I think I just play the Karn. I don't think I need to turbo kill my opponent if I just lock them out this hard. I think I'm just gonna play Karn. Yeah, opponent says that Wasteland was GG. I think I'm just gonna play Karn and just plus with no target here. I could put a liquid metal coating in my hand here, but if my opponent echoes that back into my deck, it's super awkward for me. And there's just a huge portion of the time that I get to go and... Alright, yeah, we have gotten the GG. Anyway, the Urza Saga tokens probably don't matter, because I probably win this game with Mycosynth Lattice now. Ooh, yeah. That Chalice on 0 was very good, and we're 2-0. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website for Magic the Gathering, and they have a ton of functionality just beyond building decks. So for example, let's say you're making a whole bunch of changes to your deck list while you're at work and you want to goldfish your deck over your lunch hour, you can do so via Moxfield. You can tap your lands, you can play your cards, draw, even view your entire library if you need to. So please consider checking out this website. They support my content. Okay. I have lands and spells here, but I think I kind of have no plan. I can't cast this Oblivion Ring, I can't get to Karn or Smokestack, and Pithing Needling Wasteland Blind doesn't seem good here. This second hand does not have enough mana. We will be going to 5. How do I feel about this as a 5? It's not good. Do I want to do same logic as before and just try to open up on a hate piece that hopefully buys me time to get out of this? I think so. Nope. How many cards is this? Keep 4 of these. 1, 2. I think it's going to be a keep. I think I'm getting rid of Karn. I don't know. I always get rid of Archon. I always get rid of 1 Wasteland. It's really hard for me to cast this Sorcerer Spyglass if I'm planning on doing this for a while, so I think I just get rid of it. And I keep the Karn in case I'm playing against like an artifact mana matchup. Oh. Probably doesn't go well for me. I will go all in on this, because I don't think my hand wins otherwise. But presuming that this is 60 card D&T, I think I'm just at a huge downside here, because something like a Stoneforge Mystic just comes down on turn 2, and I think I lose to it. Yeah, that's Caldra just very quickly here. So, I have Oblivion Ring in my deck. I have Karn for Ensnaring Bridge. I am debating whether or not it's a higher EV play to just concede now or to attempt to play towards Ensnaring Bridge. I take 5 going to 15. Then I can play Karn before losing Urza's Saga. I'll lose the City of Traders in the not too distant future, and I'm very likely to get white cards stuck in my hand. I think I am going to throw in the towel here and hide the information. Like, I would rather get to sideboard, and my opponent doesn't for this game. The 60 card taxes. I probably don't like some amount of this stuff. I also don't really like Smokestack. I'm gonna cut that card every round, in all likelihood. If it does something cool in a game 1, it does something cool in a game 1, but I don't really feel like that's a super playable legacy card. Maybe I'll keep it for some control matchup, but I find that kind of unlikely. What of this stuff do I want? I think I'm gonna do this and keep a couple of chalices. Alright, what are we working with? This is a hand that just does the same thing as the last one that was a Molda 4. Accordingly, I don't think this is a keep. This one does the same thing as the other ones, but has a Mox Diamond, so it goes faster. Guess that means it's a keep, and I get rid of this card in all likelihood. Alright, it begins. I'll Mox Diamond, discarding Wasteland in case I draw Crucible later. Play out an Urza Saga. And I have Blast Zone if I need it at some point for an Aether Vial type card. Yeah, there we go. Not sure if I'm just supposed to Oblivion Ring that card immediately. I don't think so. I think I'm supposed to just Pithing Needle it next turn. If a Mom slips in, a Mom slips in. Don't know which land to play. I think it's just Plains. So the Scary World is exactly Stoneforge Mystic this turn. Because, like, then I have to... Fuck. Then I have to worry about multiple different things for, like, Pithing Needle purposes. That is a Cauldron. I'm always making a token, and then I have various value-oriented plays that I can take. I think I have to give up the token here, unfortunately. So let's float this mana. We'll grab Pithing Needle or Aether Vial. I'll play a new Urza Saga, and then go ahead and Oblivion Ring the Stoneforge Mystic out of the way. This gets to crash in for 3 this turn. Then at least 4 next turn, maybe more. Okay, sure. That's rough. Wow, it's the Pithing Needle over the Oblivion Ring. I mean, I accept that. I thought the Oblivion Ring was just better because it, like, gives you a Batter Skull as well. This Blast Zone, I'm gonna use it to get rid of the Aether Vial, which my opponent seems to care about a lot. I don't know if I win this game. My opponent just, like, files in Stoneforge Mystic. I think my plan is probably Wasteland Caracas attack for 3 after making an Urza Saga token. There's not very many things that punish an attack with a 3/3 construct. I'll go ahead, make my creature. Opponent takes 3, going to 14. I will attempt to Wasteland Caracas and further constrain them, and I'm hoping that my opponent doesn't have another Stoneforge. Cannot catch a break. The Blast Zone doesn't really help with that either, unfortunately. So now, life's pretty bad. Oh, there's more. Skyclave my Mox Diamond. This one feels over. Torch the Plowshares as well. Okay. Okay. I'm comfortable conceding here. We're not winning this one. GG's. Well, the hand's a keep. I'm gonna have to figure out exactly how to play it. Because, like, I have 2 Mox Diamonds, and that means there's a lot of different decisions. Is it just more D&T? More 60 card D&T at that? How do I not get fucked by Stoneforge Mystic? Not really possible. Stoneforge just, like, eats me alive, kind of no matter how I play this hand. I think I can't afford double Urza Saga right now. So one of those goes. I was on the play, I could just Chalice on 1 into Chalice on 2, and that would be that, but I'm not on the play. So, like, that's not a reasonable game plan. Which means that I'll just Chalice on 1 to play around Swords to Plowshares on an Urza Saga Construct token. But, like, because I'm trying to play around Swords, I make myself worse against Wasteland by discarding this Urza Saga. I don't want to play this matchup. Like, 60 or Yorion. I don't want to play against this deck. They have so many tools for this matchup. Like, Wasteland's great. Backlave and such on my artifact mana is very good. Port's very good. Yep. Play around one thing, get beaten by the other. I can top deck any land and just play a Karn this turn, and that will be incredibly potent, though, like, to be fair. Actually, I would play Chalice on 2 first. Yeah. Ox Diamond. Guard Plains. Play Ancient Tomb. Chalice on 2. This stops Stoneforge and friends in the short term. I once again will still be very bad versus Wasteland, but that is what it is. Oh, it's humans instead. Sliver! It might not be slivers. It could be a juke. Alright. I'm gonna play Karn. I'm going to minus Karn. You'll never guess what I'll find. It's obviously Ensnaring Bridge. Although, I think I could pick any card except Tormod's Crypt there, and it would probably win the game. There's the concession. I don't actually know that my opponent is playing slivers. Like, Secluded Courtyard is a, like, tribal land, and, like, whichever creature type, like, you're naming with it, like, you're building your deck around that. But I kind of feel like my opponent was in a losing position and might have just bluffed. I'm going to do the old MTG Goldfish and see if they have any finishes with any creature decks of some kind. Last finish is with Death and Taxes. So all this Chalice Trinisphere type stuff is going to be bad, more or less, no matter which creature deck my opponent is playing. And I probably want Hushring, Griff, and Moat no matter what. My opponent's playing Slivers. Even Mind Sensor is not actually super attractive. Trinispheres and Smokestacks need to go. That means I'm playing at least one Aven Mind Sensor. I think I'll keep it like this. Like, I'll use the Aven Mind Sensor to fill a slot. This is an auto mulligan. There's no mana there. This is an interesting hand to consider. Map on turn 1. Mox Diamond land on turn 2. Crack map play turn 2 Urza Saga. Not crazy. It's a little mana light for my liking. Pretty bad against an opposing Wasteland, and it's not like Chalice is great. I'm gonna go deeper. I've gotten rewarded for making good mulligan decisions tonight. Let's try to keep that up. I'm gonna keep this. So, yes, yes. Like, always these, then it's harder. Probably always Solitude. Unsure from there. Crucible only feels like it's good if I get Wastelanded right now. Bushwing Griff Solitude combo. Maybe it's Peacekeeper instead. I just keep the Chalice as a turn 1 play that is admittedly awkward versus Cavern of Souls. Okay. It is on Sliver. Opponent doesn't have a 1-drop Sliver as of right now. Given that, I probably am supposed to play Expedition Map on turn 1. I'm wondering if I'm supposed to take 2 damage off of Ancient Tomb, so that if I top deck another Soul Land, I can play Chalice on 2 on my next turn. That's probably a little bit too greedy. I'm not gonna go ahead and do that. Like, the life loss is very real if we are actually playing against slivers. Which, at this point, I'm assuming that I actually am. Yeah, okay. Sliver Hive. And a Muscle Sliver. At some point, I can Solitude and, like, get rid of a Sliver. Also just cast a Hushwing Griff in combat. Maybe use that as a removal spell. I think I'm always just passing the turn here. Karn getting Ensnaring Bridge is something that I'm interested in a little bit more long term. Oh no. This counter unless you pay 1. I think I'm more interested in killing Muscle Sliver. And just do that in combat with Hushwing Griff if my opponent attacks. But my opponent probably Wastelands me pre-combat, which is awkward. Alright. That occurs. Alright. So, am I supposed to play Hushwing Griff here? If I play Hushwing Griff, I kill Muscle Sliver for free. But then I get Wastelanded down to 1 land and I can't activate Expedition Map. I think I don't do it. Is weird. I'll go to 18. Then I'll very awkwardly do this at my end of turn. Getting a new Ancient Tomb. Which is not what I want. There's no way you let me keep this Ancient Tomb. Okay. This is absolutely wild to me. Yeah, we're gonna work towards an Ensnaring Bridge lockout. It's very costly in terms of life total. But, like, I have that going very quickly. Alright. There is Ensnaring Bridge. And I'll just pass the turn here. I can cast Solitude pitching Hushwing Griff while paying the 1. And then play Ensnaring Bridge and maybe Chalice of the Void as well next turn. Yeah, that Wasteland should have happened earlier. Alright, so both of these. So this Muscle Sliver is attacking me. This Unsettled Mariner is attacking Karn. But in text, it says Medea Magica's Karn the Great Creator is being attacked by Unsettled Mariner and Muscle Sliver. Which is frustrating. Because, like, the chat log is not accurate for what is actually happening in this game right now. Which is super important once, like, more permanents get involved. Alright, so I target Muscle Sliver. And I have the mana to pay for that. So that creature goes bye-bye. My Karn gets hit for 2. Okay, there's a Cavern. I would love, love, love to draw a land. Ooh, that's bad. That means any Sliver answers Ensnaring Bridge. Not that I really have much of a choice here. I guess I can play Crucible this turn. Play an Ancient Tomb. I think plus Karn on Crucible. Call it a turn. I very specifically needed my opponent not to have Harmonic Sliver. I don't know exactly. There's probably 2 or 3 of those in the sideboard. Maybe some in the main deck. I don't know exactly what all they're worried about right now. And this is artifact or enchantment, so I can't just hide behind moat here. Yeah, see, the chat is fucking wrong. Medea Magica is being attacked by Harmonic Sliver and Unsettled Mariner. That is objectively incorrect. Yeah, I encountered this in a video that I was recording yesterday. And I was just totally baffled at the time. Alright, time to go to Twitter and post about that. I think I'm dead enough here that I just concede, because any Sliver destroys Ensnaring Bridge, and I don't have a way to, like, recur that easily without using a lot of resources. So I can consider some Trinispheres or something when I am on the play. They're not exactly great. A lot of my cards aren't exactly great. Like Anointed Peacekeeper, for example, just, like, doesn't rumble well. But maybe it can trade with some Slivers early on or prevent a Karn from being attacked. I think this matchup comes down to, like, hope opponent does not draw Harmonic Sliver. This one feels like a nope from me. What about this one? Doesn't feel like a winner. Like, I have lands and spells, but I don't have a good plan. Like, I can play a turn 2 Anointed Peacekeeper, shocking myself by 2 and making one of my opponent's lords cost more mana. But I don't think my 3/3 into 2/1 into 2/1 beats what my opponent does most of the time. I'm going to try to find a plan. This is not a plan. How many cards is this? This is 5. I can't cast any of the cards in my hand unless I expedition map for a white source. No, I'm going to 4. Like, this is not working. Urza Saga on turn 1, Ancient Tomb on turn 2 with like Mox Diamond discarding another land in there. Alright. Yuck. Yuck. Probably get rid of basic planes. I'm always going to Mox Diamond for Urza Saga. There's some conceivable worlds where I want to try to Wasteland my opponent later. Alright. Vile. Sure, that's fine. That makes Wastelanding my opponent this turn much less attractive. Diamond, Diamond. Race with Constructs. Diamond, Diamond. Race with Constructs. Alright. I don't have like a Shadow Spear. So this is just going to be Urza Saga into like fuck. Fuck. Alright. I suspect that means that I am dead. Yeah, like I attack for 3. My opponent will like play some lords. And they should be able to very easily beat 1 3/3 token here. Definitely feeling like a lot of my game wins and losses are just like fully outside of my control. Okay, that helps. I'm going to play an Urza Saga. I'm going to play this pre-combat so that it's less likely that I get ambushed by something. The issue is that if my opponent plays a Lord, Crystalline Sliver can trade with Construct Token if that's something that my opponent wants to do. I'm still just going to bash, because, like, I'm the beatdown here, I think. I think my opponent's stuff is just going to scale up better than mine, even if I do continue to make Urza Saga tokens to make this larger. Yeah, see, like, my opponent had the trick there and opted not to trade. They agree with me, and they think their stuff is going to scale better than mine. This is going to be tight. Don't harmonic sliver me. I do not believe I can win from there. Like, with that card in play, I lose all 3 of these permanents to my opponent's next 3 slivers. And we're 2-2. Playing against another Yorion deck, which might mean Death and Taxes again. And I just want to play against combo decks that can't beat any of the various hate cards that I'm playing. Not against decks that can, like, Wasteland me and interact with me. I don't really think my hand is good. Like, I can play Caracas on turn 1 into City and Trinisphere on turn 2, but, like, where do I go from there? Like, Smokestack isn't really playable, especially after losing 1 or 2 City of Traders, and Karn is not super castable with these lands. Like, I can technically do it, but if I want to try to curve Trinisphere into Karn, I lose too much mana in the process. I'm not good with this hand. Guess I'm keeping this. Mox Diamond, discard Wasteland, Ancient Tomb, Anointed Peacekeeper, or Pithing Needle on turn 1. I don't feel good about this hand. I need to top deck another land, but this is what's happening. I just don't feel like I can beat Stoneforge Mystic. Like, that card just puts pressure on the game so fast. I think the same would also be true of... Okay. Good. I've got some time to get out of this bullshit, then. Man, playing Mox Diamond out is so rough if my opponent has Prismatic Ending. Let's see what I draw. Oh. A Mox Diamond. After bottoming a Mox Diamond. Opponent says, time to get embarrassed in a video. Fingers crossed? Seems like a fingers crossed. Let's get an IDK. My deck is interesting. Do I just that? Try to buy time? No shuffle on the Ponder means my opponent probably has more lands. Alright, let's try this whole Anointed Peacekeeper thing. Alright. Let's see what this does. I got Force and a Brainstorm. I'll consider that a win, probably. Alright. Alright, we're just chilling. If my opponent has a Wasteland after I do this, it's so scary. It's also really bad if my opponent just has, like, Teferi afterwards and just bounces my Mox Diamond. Or, like, the same's also true of Prismatic Ending, honestly. Aiga. We're in Minsk and Boo land over there. Probably in Minsk and Boo land. The Trinisphere has resolved. I don't necessarily feel good about that, though. Like, it's what I've got to do. Oh, okay. 3-mana Ponder. I thought it was actually going to be the Teferi. Also, do I straight up just no attack with Icefang Coatl? Okay. Crucible of Worlds. I'm going to cast that, and it is going to resolve. I am going to play a Wasteland and take my opponent off of the ability to cantrip and cast Teferi. Can't fully knock them off of weight here. This is an okay position for me, and my opponent's missed attack with Icefang Coatl could be very relevant. Ooh, no blue mana, they say. Really sucks if my opponent has Endurance, huh? I think I just kind of accept that. I think I play a Mox Diamond this turn. This is more long-term. I'm interested in emptying my hand in case my opponent does have Endurance here. Alright, so I'll pass the turn and go after an opponent's land in their upkeep. Nice, no Endurance. I believe I'm interested in attacking white next to keep my opponent off of the things that let them cast Prismatic Ending and such. Alright, things are going well. My Karn also just resolves. That is just a thing that happens. I get to play Wasteland. Fine to just do this now. Roy Caracas. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. How deep did I mulligan that game? I kept an awkward 6. Alright, deck worked. Where am I going as far as sideboarding? Hushwing Gryff is perhaps playable. The awkward thing is that if my opponent has Uro, which is pretty likely, then like I play Hushwing Gryff, they just play Uro as a 3-mana 6/6. That's not the best. I probably play Aven Mind Sensors. I've at least got a couple of things that help me answer Minsk and Boo, which is a problem card. I'm thinking about Aven Mind Sensor, and I'm thinking about Moat. It's just a little awkward, because, like, I kind of want to Urza Saga my opponent to Oblivion. This is the first time I have a slow controlling matchup that I can actually consider playing Smokestack. An opponent says everything was fine except Crucible Wasteland. That's the dream! Yeah, like, keeping my opponent from casting a 4-drop there, especially Minsk and Boo, was so important. Moat is, like, kind of good versus Minsk and Boo, and I mean kind of, because, like, they can still just plus on the hamster a couple of times and then fling it at my face to draw cards. The Smokestack is just so hard to make work when I have one Crucible of Worlds. Like, I don't even have one as a wish target. I think I'm interested in this for this, and then I don't really know about the moats. I think I'm just going to submit as is until I see more of my opponent's deck. I also could consider playing Smokestack on the play. I'm not really super interested in this hand. I don't have any fast mana, and I think I need some of that. Like, turn 1 Pithing Needle is cool to just, like, stop Minsk and Boo forever. And, like, my hand is full of reasonable cards. But if I miss on land drops, I am just going to have 5+ uncastable cards in my hand. I'm going to continue going with my gut and mulligan until mulliganing seems like a bad idea. I think I like this hand well enough. Probably getting rid of Anointed Peacekeeper here. So this will be turn 1 Ancient Tomb, turn 2 Urza's Saga, and Trinisphere. And that's a stronger start as a whole. And if I draw a white source, we can consider getting saucy somewhere in the middle. Ooh, you've got the Wasteland as well. Not a fan of that. Top deck another Ancient Tomb like a boss. No, okay. My hand's basically unplayable now. And, like, that is what it is. Alright. Presumably this is blue to ponder. Yep. I am very unsure if I am supposed to play Urza Saga on my turn if I don't draw a land. Never mind. I'm sure that I'm supposed to play it now. Just casting Chalice is just so big here, because it means that my tokens can't eat a Swords to Plowshares. I do need to top deck a land, but again, there's like 29 mana sources in this deck. Alright. You have a Planeswalker. Now it's a prismatic ending to get rid of Chalice. That's totally fine. Okay. That is what we are talking about. I think I'm into Wasteland Savannah and just start making Urza Saga tokens. Trinisphere is a little spooky right now. And I don't really like playing Karn into Minskin Boo. Like, kind of seems like I'm on the wrong side of the equation with that one. It might be correct to just give up an Urza Saga token to play Trinisphere. But I'm pretty far behind, and I want to extract all the value I can out of my cards. And notice how, even though like we have equal number of hands in play, equal cards in hand, I feel like I'm behind. That's because I'm about to lose this land, and I'm going to be behind in the mana war, and it's going to be like I can't actually cast these cards. Alright, so I will activate an Urza Saga. Make a little man. I'll go ahead, activate an Urza Saga again. Now I get to do this whole search thing. I think I'm just interested in Pithing Needle on Minskin Boo. I think that's the extent to which I am scared of that card. I think that's where I'm at. An ampersand. Not an and. I'm not attacking into endurance here. So my attack is safe enough this turn. And then I can try supporting it with a Trinisphere to turn these into 4/4s. That's fine. Opponent could have given me one less life there. Sure, that's fine. I play Jace the Mind Sculptor instead. Haha. Get wrecked, Pithing Needle. 2 basic lands here. Opponent can now cast Endurance, which is slightly awkward. Not sure that I'm really supposed to attack this turn. Then again, it's not like I'm about to grow that artifact all that much bigger anyway. Anointed Peacekeeper is really good if my opponent doesn't have Endurance. Let's actually play this card this turn. Oh, it got Force of Will. Am I attacking? I think so. Like, I kind of feel like my opponent has Endurance, but it's not like this token is doing a lot right now anyway. So in the worlds where they don't actually have the Endurance, this is a fine attack. And in the worlds where they do have the Endurance, like, I'm planning on Oblivion ringing that thing away anyway. I think I'm good with this situation. And then, long term, I hope to set up something where I play a Karn. Ooh, a Sylvan Library. Holy shit, that card's good. I'm gonna take 4 this turn. I don't know that I can not Oblivion ring the Endurance. But, like, damn, Sylvan Library is good right here. I think that Sylvan Library off Expressive Iteration just beat me. That was so much value. Yeah. I'm going to attempt to set up a situation where I can resolve, like, Karn and Ensnaring Bridge, or, like, Karn and Mycosynth Lattice and win the game. And I think if I'm going to try to do anything that relies on Karn, I have to take out Endurance there, unfortunately. Because, like, if I just take 4 this turn and go down to 7 or maybe less life, it's so hard to just physically have enough mana to win the game after that. Alright, Wooded Foothills off of that. Okay, there's Abundant Growths. As a reminder, I haven't popped this out, but my opponent does have a Yorion chilling up there. And just as a reminder, like, we are a Smokestack deck, but I have boarded that card out in every single round, and if we look at just raw number of permanents here, my opponent's control deck is just, like, very much winning on that front. 2, 4, 5, 6 total mana. 7 total mana would be cool. 7 total mana would be real cool. But that's not where we're at. I don't think any of my lines win. I'll check my sideboard. Yeah, not really. I'm gonna play a Karn. Let's see if it resolves first. It does. I'm going to minus it. I think I'm gonna do a crazy person thing and pick up Mycosynth Lattice here. I think I am very much in Hail Mary territory, so I'm just gonna kind of hope that my opponent can't counter the spell and that they don't have more creatures to commit to the board. I just don't think I'm winning the fair fight right now. Like this Sylvan Library is drowning me. So I can attempt a Mycosynth Lattice kill, and in the world where my opponent takes one more card with Sylvan Library, and then they just like remove my Karn, if the Lattice is in play, I can play a new Karn plus it and then just attack with Lattice and try to get my kill. Yes, okay, this is what I'm fucking playing for right here. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean that it works. Opponent very specifically going to above 6 life there is a problem. Wasteland is another separate problem. Alright, Karn gets attacked for 1. And then I lose Urza's Saga. And I find Urza's Saga. I mean, I gotta, like, try, right? There's the attempt. That's Force of Negation. Life's bad. I have Tormod's Crypt? I have Tormod's Crypt. Alright. Yes. Grab Tormod's Crypt. Play Tormod's Crypt. This at least stops the Uro from coming into play. Nope. Get hard noped. So the Uro is never going to attack me, but like the card draw and life gain is relevant because the life gain means that they can just get more cards with Sylvan Library. So this is pretty rough. Also, is that a Snapcaster pitch to force? It was. I think I lose to a follow-up Wasteland on this Caracas. I mean, I think I lose to most things here, though, if I'm being honest. Like, I lose to Icefang Coatl as a 4-turn clock as of right now. Like, 3 turns after this attack. Alright. I'm technically still alive here, but I think at this point I'm willing to concede. I just don't think that I'm going to beat, like, Recursive Uro plus Yorion plus this flyer. Like, my only white mana source is dedicated towards beating this card. I just don't think I win from here. I think I'm comfortable with how I've boarded. Alright. As is my custom, I will mulligan this hand. How's this one? It has the Crucible very early. I can also play Anointed Peacekeeper on turn 1 to try to protect it. Yeah, I actually like this hand a lot. Keep. Pitch Solitude. Done. Will be Mox Diamond. Discard City. Play Ancient Tomb. Play Anointed Peacekeeper. So I guess the temporary name is Prismatic Vista. Or I guess I could actually just name Swords to Plowshares and protect my creature for a little while. That's pretty good value. Opponent says, thank God that's not a Chalice. Would have been gross. Alright. I will name Swords to Plowshares. That buys me a little bit of time. But yeah, Chalice or Trinisphere there would have been just absolutely disgusting. We've turned these into 3-mana brainstorms. Oh man, that Ponder's such a good draw. Oh, that's a nice draw. Like, with the Swords to Plowshares shut off in particular, that is a lot of oomph. So, there's Urza's Saga into Crucible, which I assume resolves, because I know all but, like, one of my opponent's cards. And then I just, like, back this up with Wasteland on a lot of my opponent's lands. Alright, there is the Brainstorm. Fetch a Wastelandable land. Dang it. Okay. Blast Zone. So I will always just crash in with my 3/3 Vigilant creature. That's totally fine. When it goes to 14, I think I just put Blast Zone into play here. And then I'm able to activate Urza's Saga without hurting myself. Fetch is fine. Opponent can do a 3-mana Swords to Plowshares to get rid of Anointed Peacekeeper. And then hopefully I just keep them off of higher mana amounts than this. Ooh, no, they're not doing it. Do they have something like wild, like a Serenity that they're digging for? Because that would punch me in the face pretty hard right now. I guess there's also worlds where they could be playing Terminus. And then there's also worlds where they've put some number of Swords of Plowshares back after one of the brainstorms. Okay. Another Vista is not what I want to see. I want to be Wastelanding my opponent off of DMC 4 cards. That's fine. The Sylvan Library is a lot less good this game than last game. Not going to try to destroy that immediately. There's an Urza Saga token. My opponent is nearly dead. Need access to white mana here. I'm willing to take the 2. I'll go ahead and do some searching. It's probably just Pithing Needle on Minsc and Boo. Mox Diamond's cute. Yeah, let's just stop that card. And then I can redeploy Urza's Saga. Hit my opponent for 8 while having an Aven Mind Sensor to cast for if my opponent plays a fetch land in an attempt to cast something like a Supreme Verdict. I think it's very hard for my opponent to win from here, and the Sylvan Library can't draw a card either. 3 different lethal threats in play. Say GG. Say GG. Oh, we're not done yet. That's a shuffle. Ah, it's GG. Oh man, I am really happy with this finish. That's a 3-2, folks. I'm really happy about that with this deck. Overall thoughts on the deck list. There's not enough support for Smokestack to be a reasonable card in this deck, and I don't think Smokestack is a reasonable card in Legacy in the first place. But what this deck is pretty good at is playing out some junk that has a tendency to dominate a matchup. So these 11 cards right here, plus Chalice of the Void, if played early enough, will warp a game. And to a lesser extent, Crucible of Worlds, when paired with Wasteland or Urza Saga, can also do the same thing. And you get some ability to interact with Planeswalkers / opposing Wastelands when you need to protect it. Anointed Peacekeeper alongside Soul Lands and Mox Diamond is much better than I expected it to be. I expected to be pretty underwhelmed by that card, but I was actually pretty impressed by it, and I hope you were as well. Moving forward, I would cut both Smokestacks from the main deck. I don't know what exactly you put in its spot. I really have to think about that. Like, you can play the 4th Trinisphere. I'd probably play 4th Trinisphere and 2nd Crucible of Worlds, or maybe consider adding a Crucible to the sideboard. The effects that I had in this deck were pretty reasonable. I don't think this is a slam dunk choice. Like, I don't think I want to be signing up to my next big tournament with this deck, but like, this was a pretty good attempt at building a White Prison / Stax deck. Alright, anyway folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click the like button on the way out a lot. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and if you have a sweet deck that you want to get on the channel, or you want to support my content in some other way, or you want to see the deck list, all that stuff is available in the video description. See ya!